we're going to get right started into the making of our pages. I've already made 4. This album has 5, and you want 5 pieces that are 8 by 8. Now I cut these down just a hair short of 8 to fit perfect in our gussets that we're going to score on our 8 by 9. So you need 5 8 by 9, and we want to score on each end on the 9-inch side at 1/2 inch. And like I said, you will need to make 5 of these. I'm only making 1 for the camera. We can get right into our Meadows album. I will be mitering the corners, and that's going to be the edge. That is where my mat will go inside. Using my art glitter glue on my hinges. And then taking your top piece, matching your sides. And of course you can use any adhesive that you like. My preference is art glitter glue, and we do have it in stock at Country Craft Creations now, and it is shipping, so it's so great to have it back. And then you'll just want to check. Sometimes I don't quite get my corners. Especially if I'm in a hurry. No, that one is good. Okay, starting with our first page, we'll just set this aside, so you may need to stop the camera and go ahead and make 4 more exactly like that. Okay, this one I do have a little pre-made one, and this is the mechanism that we're going to be making for page 1 that has our floating photo mat, and then of course on the back side. This was just a sample, so it's just there to give you guys an idea. So you want to cut a piece of cardstock that is 10, my full measurements here, 10 5/8 long, and then I cut it just a hair short of 8 to start. Grabbing your page, because you want to make sure it's not going to hang over the edges. I like to have those squares where we didn't miter to the left. That's going to be my hinge side. Then I'm going to just make sure that this piece, yours isn't scored yet, of course, making sure it does not hang over my page. Once you've trimmed it down to fit perfectly, the page, because it will be put right down on top. We're building this to put on the page. You're going to want to score it on the 10 5/8 of an inch side at 4 1/4, 5, and then again at 5 3/4. So those are 3/4 inch. And you'll see the middle one doesn't really have a purpose, but I mean it does, but it's not like a true working mechanism. And yes, this is going to take some magnets. It will take, I'm going to use 2 sets of large. And it's the only one that we'll have to use that many on. The thing is, now we want to put this down, making sure this bigger end, so we pull it like so. So right now, just fold that over. Now I did go ahead and I did that. Then I folded it over again. Like I said, that middle one, you'll see it's for the page. It's not so much for the working of the mechanism here. You're going to have this little edge on this side, and I will mat that first, and then we will be making this as a tuck pocket. So what we want to do first, after we've gone ahead and made our score lines, is now you'll need a piece of your cardstock that is the 4 inches. You're going to have this left over from cutting your 8-inch pages. So you'll take a 4-inch piece and you'll cut it by 8 to match the size of your page. Then you're going to put it in your scoreboard and score it at 1/2 of an inch. When you are done scoring, we're going to miter our corners. Burnish our score line really well, and then grabbing the piece. Now your 4 1/4 will be to your left. I'm going to turn it upside down because I'm going to add my flap. Now, before we continue, one of my large magnets, which I've already taken the sticky back off, is going to go right here. And for this, I'm just going to grab a piece of my cardstock because it's going to really pull. There we go. Took those off of the sample I was making until we get our little photo mat down. So for your photo mat, again, one of your 4-inch pieces of scraps. I cut mine 6, and then I put it in my scoreboard, scored at 1/2 inch. Let's go ahead and miter those edges. Now before we put this down, I do want to mat these pieces. And for this page, I chose to use, and you know, they number their sheets at Authentique, and I cut off the number. This one is I think it's number 3. It is. It's number 3. And then number, I don't know, I shouldn't have cut those off. I apologize, but it's the Heidi kids. That's the back side of my wood, and actually that's what I'm matting with. And then I'm using the mustard seed spectrum papers. And like I said, I've already cut these down to 3 3/8 by 5 7/8. Now, one thing when we mat this, when we put this in our book, the hinge needs to be to your right. So you want to make sure you don't put it on upside down. For all the other photo mats that we cut, I did choose to use the mustard seed to break up the pattern, the spectrum coordinating cardstock, and that's also available on the website at countrycraftcreations.com. And I did want to leave that little bit of blue. Then I'll mat the back side, and I thought that would make a really nice background for a photo. So I can use 3x5 photos on here, and then you have room for any embellishing you want to do around your photos. Let's grab our page. So when we open the page, you have these two areas. And this is where when we mat, because we did mat this, you don't want it to be upside down if you have a directional paper. So the way we're putting this on is this 1/2 inch is going to fit, let me show you, at the top of your score line. So it's going to go right at the top. Oh, and you can put this at the top, you can put this at the bottom, or you can put it more into the center. Now, lay it over, bring it right into that score line, and then you can burnish that down. Okay, now you'll see how, there we go, see that middle section, this is like the 4th take on this video. So what I'm going to do is take this off. And I'm really not going to do this video again. I can't believe I just did this. So I'm really sorry. It was going so well until I messed this one up. Okay, let's remake this and I'll show you what I did wrong. Like they say, the mistakes are out of the way. This is take 3. This is why I'm not starting this video over. Okay, the mistake I made was I scored at 1/2 inch. We need to score this at 3/4 inch. And I need to watch that. Now we can go ahead and mat. So I scored it at 3/4 inch, not 1/2 inch. That was the error. So now I want to cut my mats, because this is 3 1/4. I'm going to cut them at 3 1/8 by 5 7/8. And that, I'll do the same thing again and mat these. Okay, remember your hinge is to the right, so you don't want this to be upside down. Put this down just a little bit. A little long. Much better. This is such cute paper. I just love it. This album was supposed to have perfect execution from the beginning. I have it in my mind what I want to make and how I want it to look, and I wasn't supposed to make any mistakes. But it doesn't really happen in my lifetime. Look at that wood grain. It's just gorgeous. Let's try this again. So we have the 3/4 inch gusset. We're going to lay this over and it will fit just nice and snug right inside of there. Again, you can have it at the top. You can have it at the bottom. You can have it more in the center. Okay, I have my flap here. I'm going to match it to that score line right at the bottom. Hey, I got my magnet on though. That's good. And we're going to burnish that over. Burnish that over. And there we go. Now we can go ahead and burnish that. Now this does not hit where it's not supposed to. Now, we're going to want a magnet on this page, but we only want to put them down. And I know this is the only page that has one set of magnets. Okay, we'll leave the back on for now. Now you can grab your page. That's the only thing about the glue when it flakes. Making sure you have a hinge to the left, because that's, opening to the left for your hinges. I'm turning this way, upside down, because I want to make sure I match edges. Then I'm also wanting to check my space right here. and making sure I put this on straight. And for this back area, you're going to want to cut a strip. And it doesn't matter if it's bigger or smaller. I'm going to use the little kids. You can make this page longer, but so that it goes all the way. But when I was working with it and messing with it, I found I didn't like it near the hinge. That is why I chose to move it where I did. You can add that extra 1/4 inch and make this longer. This our whatever you call that, our add-on, longer, but I didn't want it near the hinge. Okay, when we put this down, this is the back area that is going to be attached down. Now you can attach the whole thing, and so I'm going to go a little wide. It's only going to be for a little tuck spot because you don't want to have a lot in there. Due to the thickness that this page is already going to have. Matching top to bottom, the very edge. Okay. We'll open our flap, holding this, oops, there we go, backwards and down. Flaking everywhere. Okay, now I'm going to open, remove this one. Now, if you've come to this part and this is too long and it's sticking over your page and you're upset, all you have to do is open this and trim it in your trimmer. Okay, let's go ahead and mat everything. Then we also have to have some photo mats. I'm going to show you. You're going to have a 4x6, and I do mat back and front. Then you're going to have a 4x6.5, no, a 4x6.25. I wanted it to be looking layered. And, oh, we've already done this one. So you just need the 4x6 and the 4x6.25. And for those, I already did mat them. And I want to show you, you'll have a piece that's too short because when you cut this, it's 6 1/8. And you just want to go ahead and mat this because we don't have to worry about this showing, but we do have to worry about the back showing. You'll see as we layer it. And then there's my front one. So those are done. And I've already cut my matting pieces, and I'll let you know the sizes as we go. So I'm using this one, and I cut the corner. And I cut it at 4 3/4, and everything will be 7 7/8 inch long. So you'll need 2 of these, one for here and one for this back side. Let's go and do the back side first. So I used the other half for the back side, and it is also 4 3/4 by 8 7/8. Now for this little piece, I have cut our kids, I believe. Oh, that's for the front. Don't think I did cut this one. Now this one is going to be 3 1/4. By the 8 7/8. Then I already cut my strips, which is the back side of these, the hiding. And I'm using the back side with the stripes. And I cut these just a 1/16 of an inch short of the 8. These are 3/4. So instead of going 5/8, I went in between. I wanted them to fit really nice. But I think we'll go all wood with this one. For the back side. And then you'll have a cute little tuck spot here. On these stripes, I did cut 4 pieces because you want 2 for the back side and 2 for the inside. And I may just change my mind for this one, for the back. Use the peach on the inside and the little ones on the back side. Down, closed, and now do the front side. Now, see what's really cute is how that flips open. Now, before we lay down our bigger photo mat, what we want to do is go ahead and mat these pieces just like we did the back side. Again, I cut these just between 5/8 and 3/4 instead of going the full 1/8 of an inch. Now we'll hide our little mat there hinge. Now I've already cut I cut all my pieces because this is so many pieces. I cut this one at 4 1/8 by 8 7/8. And then for my flap, I did cut the flap at 3 3/8. No, I did not. That's the wrong one. Yes, I did, but it's 3 3/8. There we go. That's for the front. I'm going to use this for the inside. More of the plain. The coordinating cardstock is listed as the Meadow coordinating cardstock, and you do get 2 pieces of all 6 colors, and it just helps stretch your paper line, and it looks great. It breaks up if there's any too many patterns, and great for your photo mat backgrounds. Time to definitely wash the glue off the hands. Okay, on goes the front flap, same measurement, 3 3/8. But I need to cut it. No, that is right. I don't know why it didn't look right to me. The nice thing about this, there are 8 designs. You do get 3 sheets of each design. And because you use front and back, it gives you a lot of options. Make sure everything is glued down. Now, our photo mats. Like I mentioned, I'd already matted mine. So my first one on the flap, see how that's going to sit. And then this one, that will go at the top where it's short. Then you can decide where you want. But as we're putting this on, I need to show you something. It cannot extend past this flap. See, or it won't open. If it goes over it, oh, I mean, this guy here will not. If you get it too close over, see, it won't open. So you've got to stay within this area. So I start with this one. And again, this is short. And you can also mark, or you can just give yourself a visual. And I do that. And then I just put my fingers back where my adhesive is not supposed to go. And the nice thing with the art glitter glue, if I need to get back in there, I can with the tip. Again, keeping it within that 3/4 of an inch. So that everything will work. Now you can turn this over and see if you need to add any more adhesive. And the next one, the front one, then you can decide what look you want. Do you want it to be kind of like layered, or do you want it to be off-centered? Really, either way looks really cool. So on this one, I went this way. And I like that look. Again, you're going to want to just kind of mark with your fingers where you don't want glue to go. Again, you can go back through and check all your corners and little spots. Finger washing time. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm cutting that off because I'm not going to waste it. But I did cut it off too much. Oh, it won't fit. Okay, we'll use that for something else. But then you can also make your mats and tags that are going to go down into the pocket. Isn't that cute? So when we go back, we'll be adding some flowers, and we'll be making some flowers with this paper collection, of course, because it's so pretty. And there is our floating pocket. Back at page 1, I checked the magnets, so I just need one. What you're going to want to do is cut your matting at 7 7/8 by 7 7/8, and also make sure your page is going the right direction. And then I cut a piece of 10 by 7, and we're going to score the 10 by 7 in half at 5. And we may or may not use the magnet because we don't want to have to use a whole set. And we're going to see where it plays, or we may use some twine. And my camera's not quite set, is it? And I didn't turn these notifications off. Let's go ahead and do that really quick. So the whole purpose of this one on the back is to hold bigger photos, and the fact that this page is pretty heavy already. So what I want to do is find out if the placement, a magnet, it'll be off-centered there, but it will hold it down. So this will just flip up, or you can use a tie. And, you know, I think maybe we will for this one. Let's do that. This is just some cotton thread. Actually, for dish rag, like crocheting. Excuse me. And it's a wonderful texture. It's all cotton, so I thought it really went well with this collection. And I'm going to be using this green. And I'm going to use green also to mat the front with a 4x6 cut apart. just turn my volume all the way off. Did not. Okay, I'm going to burnish this again. And then I did cut my mat at 4 7/8 by 6 7/8. Ink these edges. And I'm using the hot chocolate for the inside, for the picture matting. And then I'm using the 4 by 6 You've Got a Friend in Me cut apart. And here's the hot chocolate. And I still want to ink the edge so we don't have any white. I'm going to come off the camera for a minute because my sponges, I'm telling you, these sponges just aren't lasting long. And it's kind of shredding all over. And I already did cut the string because we want to make sure we put that on the back. You can tell the glue bottle is getting empty. It keeps falling over. And I'm going to use the more of the checkered side instead of the stripe. That makes it, there we go. You'll notice with your spatula how nice and flat. So I'm going to put my cut apart right there on the front. And I think I'm going to go ahead and mat that. Let's see about the piece I do in the brown. So I'm going to cut a brown piece at 4 1/8 by 6 1/8. Can't decide. It's hot. It's cold. Got to keep turning the little fan on and off. Isn't that cute? That plaid on the back side of those cut aparts. I'm going to off center that. off to the side. Now on the back, I do like to use score tape when I have a ribbon or a string or anything. Oh, goodness. And, oh, shoot, I cannot believe I just did that. Thank goodness art glitter glue cleans up really well. Whew. And it's already stuck. Wow, nothing like fumble fingers here. Then you have a place for a 5x7 and another 5x7. And see, you can't even tell where that art glitter glue was. know there was plenty of adhesive there. So I'm just going to go, there we go, in a few places that my clothespins will reach. And we'll let that dry. Okay, go ahead and grab your page 2. Well, I had a camera that froze up on me, so I thought I had you guys there, and we're going to have to start, I'm going to have to start over. So for the front here, you're going to have a piece that is 6 inches by 11, and you want to score this at 4 and 8. Let me double, yeah, 4 and 8. Now what happened is, I don't know, my camera froze, and I made a pocket. So your section is 4 inches right here by 6 inches. So I cut a piece of cardstock for this pocket, and I cut it at 4. I mean that I stopped at 5. I have 1/8 or 1/16 of an inch, so I stopped at the 16th mark before the 5, but you want to just back it up a little bit because you need it to fit so that this will accordion fold. So cut it shorter than 5 and then 6.5 inches. Then you're going to score 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, and 1/2 inch and put your pocket on. Now you have a smaller section here at the top, and that goes at the top, and I put my opening here, so it's going to be at the right. And that's what that is. Now this piece is 11 3/8 by 8, and it will fit perfectly here. There is a larger matting piece underneath here, and I'll show you. You're going to score this at 3 3/4 and 7 5/8. Then this other section, oh here, I can show you this one. The other section, this is on my model one. Here's what it looks like. So you will have this much on the base page. You'll put that down because then these guys are going to go this way, and it will be that pop-up section. And I don't know, I looked up, the camera was just froze. Then after you put that down on your base page, you'll mat. So I did the matting at 7 7/8 by 7 7/8. There is a magnet here on the back, and the other magnet is down here on the base. Okay, we are going to now mat these two pieces. And then I have a 4 by 6 cut apart, and I did trim it because I wanted the matting to be exactly 4 by 6. This one I had to cut down so it fits on the matting. And then it is going to sit on here. Now let's go ahead and mat these sections. And I'm really watching the camera to make sure it doesn't freeze again. So this is 3 7/8. Well, my next actually, it's about 3 7/8. So I'll cut it 3 and I'll go 3 3/4, and then 7 7/8. And if you trimmed it down to fit, then you'll go even a little bit smaller. I want to use the green. I think to match the other side, I'll put the green at the top. So this is a little bit different size. And it is 3 3/4, so I'll take this to 3 5/8. Just looking to see. Then you have quite a few of these cut aparts. So I'm going to cut this down to the 3 3/4 on this one for inside. Love the brown. So let's go ahead and mat those two guys. I think I'll go ahead, even though a lot of the trees won't show, we'll go with the trees. And you can cut down your cut apart more if you want. I think we'll leave it. Excuse me. Oh, I put the glue on. Well, guess what? We're having trees upon trees. That's okay. Now, you do want to mat the inside here. So this one does have quite a bit of matting. Oh, awesome. I have a piece that almost fits, so I'll cut this down to 3 3/4. I love when pieces and parts will fit. Trim the hair a bit more. And once again, 3 5/8, and I'll use the rest of the brown. Oh, how'd I get that too short? Okay, we're going to need a strip for there. Which is an easy fix, but we'll go ahead and I'll do that later once I get some more scraps. I'll have to come back and just, or do a border strip is what I'll do. You know, it's funny, I had a green and a brown bedroom, almost that color once. I just really loved it. Okay. Let's go ahead and mat. So now I'll go back to my green side. Since we have a lot of trees. And then we'll work with this. Now the thing is, okay, it's going to go about 2 inches from the bottom, and let me show you. There we go. It needs to sit more in. It also, we'll want to mat this, but I want to go ahead and I'm going to do my corners on the bottom here. The top one we won't see. And I don't think I'm not going to mat it right now, only because I want to wait till I have more scraps. So what you want to do, the trick to this is, well, let's close it. Okay, let me show you where it's going to sit. You're going to have an inch on each side. And let's just get everything even here with your ruler. So mine comes out to be 2 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. What you can do to help you out too is grab your, if you have clothespins, you can see that's how it will open. Then you can also put a picture there, a picture there. You can make this as a pocket, and then this is going to sit on top of that, like so, and it will also be a pocket. So the best thing to do is just using your ruler at 2 3/4 from the bottom, keeping your clothespins on. If you want, an inch on each side. Actually, mine's coming up to be, no, it's 2 3/4. So I'm just going to lift this flap up, holding this now with my hand. Oh, we do mat this, but I'll show you not the other side. Very cool. Okay. Now we want to lay this one down. Adhesive just across the top. Now I'm going to have the cut apart here, but I'm only going to glue it on 3 sides. That way, if you want it, you can put another little tag in there. But you'll hit into that somewhat, so you have to, allow for that, or you can just glue it all the way down. See, and then when it opens, and I'm going to do the pocket. Now, what I'm going to do here, though, it's just going to be a little tiny tuck spot for a little tag. So I'm going to attach part of the bottom onto here, and then just the sides onto the pattern paper. So when you open that page, now you have a beautiful spot right here for a picture. Right here for a picture. And then decorations down here. So let's see. I do have more. I don't think I want to kind of go with all the green. lots of green. Now this is one that I had cut because I had started and I messed up the other page. Actually, that's going to fit nicely there. And then the green here will be fine. We have the brown to back it up. And you also want to now take a piece of this, and I'm going to cut this down to 3 7/8 by 6 1/4. Need to go a little bit more. Go 3 7/4. Don't like to go too small. I like to just take a little off till it fits. Yeah, it's going to stick out a little bit right there. Oops. Let's go ahead and cut this now. This is 4 by 6. And this should also be 4. Don't forget to round your corners. Whoops, that's not quite the pocket. There we go. Then I'll mat that later, and now it should lay nice and flat. So when we pick this up, right now it's pretty heavy. You really don't want to add any more adhesive there because you want it to be able to move. And then you have that little pocket for a tuck spot. Like I said, it's just for a small, like those little cut-aparts that were on the cut-apart sheet, the little tickets you can now put inside there. You can even make one that kind of folds over, anything you like. So there is the front of page 2. And we got through it, even with the frozen camera.